let's
Mhm.
just dive right in to private interview. What is it? What's the point? So private interview is the first area of competition that you're going to go through in your local competition and in your state competition. It's going to be the first time that you meet the judges. And the reason why this is important is because it's the first time where you're able to show off your personality and kind of let them know who you are.
Yes, this is the time that everybody says it's a conversation. It truly is a conversation with the judges. They have all, like you see below, they have your fact sheet, they have your resume, all of that. So they know a little bit about you. And this is the time to just have a conversation with them so that they understand what those things mean to you. It's not just a sheet of facts. It's like, this is what makes me up as the woman that I am.
Amen. Very well said. Obviously, you could see that Madison absolutely killed private interview. Okay. All right. So, what do you wear? What's the time limit like? Let's talk about logistics of private interview. So, in private interview, you want to wear something that shows off your personality, but also shows off that you are ready for this job. You're ready for this role. So, usually, girls will opt for something that's more interview-ish attire. You could see a few examples here, but really don't feel constrained. Just wear something that makes you feel confident. And then for the time limit, it's 8 minutes with your 30-second opening.
Yeah, your 30-second opening is kind of who you are. It's like your elevator pitch. When you go into a conversation for either a regular job interview, that's not a part of the Miss America organization, or you're just going to meet somebody new, having that 30-second opening of like, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is what I'm passionate about. And so that 30 seconds is a real good time for you to introduce yourself, to get a little bit comfortable, and point out the things that are most important to you that you wanna talk about in your interview.
There we go. And it's a perfect opportunity to just start, the interview on the right foot, and really just
Mhm.
highlight the things that you're passionate about. And you can see here is a list of things that you should definitely keep in mind as you go throughout your interview prep. And a few tips too. I'll obviously there are a few on the screen, and I'll give you one of mine. As you're walking into the interview, make sure that you are breathing right and making sure that you're not, letting things kind of get encapsulated. Like make sure that your voice projects because I feel like that projects more confidence.
My biggest interview tip is watch what you're doing with your hands. I think that's a really important thing. Even when like I talk a lot with my hands and that's something that I'm used to. So making sure that that's not too much if you talk with your hands and also if you're keeping your hands down. So you want to make sure that you're not fidgeting because that shows that you're not very confident. You want to portray that confidence and this is your time to just take a deep breath like Betta said so that you're there in that moment and they can read your energy. And so if your body language is showing that you're nervous, they're going to feel nervous and they're going to feel uncomfortable. And that is the last thing that you want them to feel in your interview is uncomfortable. Whether you're nervous or not, that's one thing. You want your body language to show confidence.
Amen. Very well said. And you can do that through your voice, through your hands, your gestures, but also through what you're saying too. So we'll get
Mhm.
into a little bit more on like how you can craft your own personal brand later in the course. But for now, know those things and know that confidence is key. All right, so moving on, we have the 30-second interview introduction. There's a lot of info here, but as we said, it's basically just a short elevator pitch on who you are, and it's your opportunity to kind of set the tone for the interview. So time limit for this is around 20 to 30 seconds. There's usually no hard cutoffs at locals. Mads, have you seen that at locals?
At state, it was not a hard cutoff. No.
Gotcha. So it basically though is like 20 to 30 seconds. And like I said, condensed elevator pitch of who you are as well as your community service initiative, which we'll get into in a little bit. I mean, here are a few tips for like memorizing and crafting your pitch. When I was competing, I have such a hard time memorizing things. So I did it just in bullet points in my head. And every time I would just kind of freeball it, although I had an idea of the general structure. So you could go that route, or you could do the word for word. If you're doing word for word, the way I like to do it is just memorize it one word, two word, one word, two word, three word, and then just move down that way.
I love how you say practice it every time you have a meal or a drink of water. I think it's really important to introduce it into your everyday life and everything that you do because you just want it to feel second nature. You want it to feel very casual, very conversational. And even just staring at yourself in the mirror, I think saying that a couple times, I will always say bits of my interview. I would stand in the mirror and have a list out of all the interview questions that I wanted to include, all the answers that I wanted to kind of integrate into however it went. And I would repeat them in the mirror like 5 to 10 times a night, just so that I could see how my facial expressions were and that it would become second nature. So when you're talking, it just kind of pours right out of you.
Oh my gosh, I wish that I had thought of that. That is like a 10 out of 10 tip right there. And it may sound like a lot, like, oh my gosh, I have to like practice this and be really what it is interview might be completely new to you. Like I know when I started in the Miss America organization, I was like, I have literally never done an interview in my entire life. But I think it gives you two things. It gives you the freshness and you have all this opportunity to incorporate these different tactics and skills and really craft your personal brand and your message too. So just because you're maybe new to interview, and this might seem a little overwhelming, know that you are able to get across what you want in your interview and you're able to prepare for it in the way that best fits your learning style and your way of practicing.